My unpopular opinion is I think children are having access way too early to smartphones. A few countries have now banned children access to smartphones and social media and stuff. Yeah. And I know in some environments, kids should have smartphones, but I do think kids, I would even dare say to the age of 18.
It's the politics of motherhood.
Welcome to the Politics of Motherhood, because everyone has an opinion about motherhood. I'm Washuka.
And I'm Lynette.
And Lynette, what is your big win?
Too many wins. Where do I start? I think for me, kids on holiday, very long holiday. What I usually do during the holidays is have them like come up with a list of things to do during the holidays. And now that my 5-year-old can write, it is amazing because then, I just sent her out, go get a book, write me a list of the things that we want to do this holiday. And just seeing the fact that she's grown, she can write, go to the movies, go to the bouncy castles, go to the zoo, go to see the giraffes and stuff. Just seeing that as a matter of progress in the kids was just fantastic. Lovely. What's yours?
I finally bought myself a pair of jeans that's not maternity jeans.
Isn't that the best?
Right?
Isn't that?
I can now wear jeans.
It's not a simple win. That's a major one.
I was like, I fitted them on. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have a belly. I can just wear normal jeans.
Right.
Oh, this is so exciting.
Right. Oh,
yeah.
Well, yeah. No, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
We can segue into the topic of today, and
what are we talking about today?
Drum roll, please. Working moms.
Oh my goodness.
Motherhood and work.
Mothers doing it all.
Yo.
How's
Where
that?
do you start? So what's your work arrangement?
What's my work arrangement?
Yeah.
So my background is in computer science, and I ran a company to that effect. But I've also been a consultant for a very long time. Like I think practically my entire professional life, I have been a consultant. So I have had my own office with staff, and I have also been consulting, technically working from home pre-COVID. So that has continued on, like the multiple things I've been able to do. Every so often I reference that I have a woodworking shop. So I've been able to do all those things from home, one way or another. So the professional, like white collar jobs that I do, and the blue collar job that I also do, or jobs. Sometimes I do farming as well. So I've been able to kind of do them from home, meaning that I show up to meetings in offices when I'm needed there. Others I work from home. With my firstborn baby, she had her co-sleeper in my office in the house. She was also born during COVID, so working from home completely and stuff. So so that's technically my work arrangement.
So you've never been employed?
I've never been employed.
A day in your life?
No.
Even from school?
No.
Damn.
I've never been employed, and I've been working for 15 years now.
So you came out of school, grad school?
Yes.
University,
yes.
And then you just
I was a consultant.
went. Are you serious?
All my contracts have also always read consultant.
Really?
I've never been permanent and pensionable.
Wow. You're the lucky few.
Yeah. So that is how I've pretty much curated my life.
Okay.
I once listened to a podcast that said, you should get to a point where your money buys you time.
True.
So for
That's
me,
the goal,
that
right?
has always been the goal, where it is, however I'm making money, it should be in a situation where I can always bring my kids along with me. So for instance, last holiday, one of the activities in my big wins I discussed, one of the activities we did with the kids is I took them to a conference. So they got, like, I registered them, they got tags, they, that whole experience.
It was a kids conference.
No, it was a conference
It was
about
an
technology.
adult, and then you tagged them along.
Yes, that
Oh,
was our
wow.
activity. Luckily, that conference was happening at the museum, so we also then went to the museum.
Oh, wow.
And I got to introduce them to my important friends. There's an ambassador who's really cool and stuff, and I know him, and he got to meet them. So I was like, yeah, start them young and stuff. I think for me that has really been the amazing thing about how I have curated my own work. It's in a way that it's very demanding, because you and I have discussed or have talked when I am in the office at 11 p.m. because I'm trying to get things moving, and that's the nature of consulting. When you're doing multiple things, is you need to put in like much longer hours. You can't just say 9 to 5, checking out, see you tomorrow. Your work literally follows you. Last night I turned to sleep at 11 and remembered I had not sent someone a message confirming a meeting today.
Yeah.
And I had to wake up and get my phone, which I put on airplane mode at night, and switch it back on and be like, hey, so for tomorrow, 3 p.m, location, good night, And that's being a consultant, unfortunately.
Wow.
Yes. What about you? What's your work situation?
Yo, dicey topic.
Let's do it.
So currently,
Yes.
as I am current Ashuka, 2025, 17 November kind of Ashuka, I am a stay-at-home mom.
Wow.
Yes.
Yes.
Anyway, we'll talk about that later. Anyway, yes, and that's because I resigned earlier this year, in March. I resigned and I said, to hell with this thing.
Interesting.
Literally. So yeah, I've been working for the last 5 years before I resigned. I've been working for the last 5 years in the investment industry. So I used to do important work, I would
The
say.
money people.
Yeah, I used to do important work. I used to evaluate deals within Africa and then invest in them. So yeah, that whole process. But it came to a point where it was just not working anymore. And I was like, I have to call it quits. Yeah. So the reason I came to that conclusion is the working hours were so unsustainable for me. It was strenuous. Oh my word. There are weeks I'd work until 4 a.m. Sunday to Sunday. Like even the weekend, you are working until 4 a.m. Like it was honestly unsustainable.
Yeah, that's completely unsustainable.
So I think I can package it in this way in the 5 years. So I was single, not married.
Yes.
I mean, fine. I can pull off the long hours. I mean, who am I taking care of? I was living in my mom's house. So I'm cooked for. There's no responsibilities. I'm fine. Okay, cool. Then shortly after I get married, I still can pull off the long hours because my husband is an adult. Luckily, bless the heavens, he can fend for himself. He can cook. In fact, he's a better cook than I am. And he loves it anyway. So there are days that he would cook for us and he'd bring me food. He'd do the laundry, So to some extent, that would still work. And it worked. All right. Then I got pregnant. Still the long hours. But still, we can hack it somehow. Pregnancy is not an illness, as they say. You can still work. Well, it's tougher, but you can still do it. And I did. Then my firstborn was born. Hey. And that's where now the rubber meets the road. It was tough. I constantly felt like I was being pulled in two different directions.
Yeah.
Like I would feel like I'm being torn apart, literally, because I'm here. I really want to be involved in my kids' life and the kind of mom I want to be. And this is what just made me realize, like, you know what, maybe I should, in this season, I should just take it easy and focus on my kids. The kind of mom that I want to be cannot work in this environment. But before I came to quit, I really tried, because I even went to a life coach just to see how women have balanced this work and family life, right? And I came out with such good resolutions that I actioned on. And one particular one that was that I needed to action on was on speaking to your boss about boundaries, time boundaries. So in one of my reviews, I had a conversation with my boss, and I told him I would like to put a hard boundary on my time to stop work at 5:30. Okay, my contract says 9 to 5. But at 5:30, because I'm giving that leeway, until 8:30, so that I can do bath time for my baby, spend time with him.
Oh, until 8:30 p.m.
Until 8:30 p.m., right? That is the time I want to block. And then from 8:30, I can be available. So you see, like, I was even negotiating for time that's not within my contract.
This is that part where the t-shirt says, where?
Yeah, exactly. And do you know that was not received well in it? It was a conversation of, oh, but you see, I know there's a conflict between career and family life, but you see, you sometimes just have to make some sacrifices depending on where you want to go.
Wait. You are negotiating to not stop at 5:30 until 9 a.m. the next day.
Yeah.
You're negotiating to stop at 5:30 for 3 hours to take care of your baby and come back online where everyone will be, from what you're saying.
Yeah.
And you still have to think about your career?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that conversation was so bad. And I put my foot down. I was like, listen, you guys are already taking so much of my time, and I'm only asking for these 3 hours to be with my kids.
Someone might be wondering, were they paying you overtime? But I won't even ask that question.
No, there's no overtime.
No, I won't even ask that question because at this point, it's actually it's very unreasonable.
It is very unreasonable. And there's something that I wanted to say that he said that I was just like, you know what? I think, yeah, it's a wrap. He said that thing for career. Oh, he said, are you sure you're in the right industry? Yo. I was like, okay, cool. And from then on, it was just, things just were not working anymore. You know, you're not being involved in projects. You're not starting out, all of a sudden, you're not a good performer. There's low rating, and that rating affects your bonus. So you get pushed out without, just silently. You don't even realize how it happens. You just get pushed out.
That is so interesting.
And then I was just like, I remember in January, it was really tough because I used to not look forward to waking up. I wake up, I'm like, why is this day starting? Literally, I was like, God, why do you wake me up? I would rather die. Like, what is all this? This is too much. Like, I just don't want to wake up. And I just said to myself, and I'm like, wait a minute. I've given too much power to these people.
Yeah.
Because I have a husband and I have a kid that, by the way, if I was to die, like I'm saying, it would be soul crushing kind of situation. So me, I just handed in my resignation, and with no plan, just my savings, and I genuinely do not want to go back to corporate. I think I have PTSD, literally, from that experience. Yeah.
That is, as someone who's employed people many times, I feel like there are some practices that should land people in trouble. You know, I remember once I used to consult for the government. And, you know, when I joined this particular agency, there's a lady, lovely lady there. Hi, Tonya, if you ever listen to this. And she told me, you know, if you drop dead today, because I used to be a workaholic.
Yeah.
And I think in one of the episodes, I've actually talked about like being a workaholic. And I think maybe luckily I've always found work that I really enjoy doing. So I like, if it's something I enjoy doing, I'm going to wake up at 3 a.m. and send out that email and get it done.
Yeah.
And she said, if you drop dead today, we will probably pay for your obituary, and in the next page, we will be paying for an advertisement of your job.
Yeah.
All in one newspaper. So we're going to do that because work has to continue. I remember there's a time, this was pre-COVID, when I had an office, and I told my staff, if you're on your period and you're cramping, please stay home.
Yeah.
If you had a fight with your boyfriend, please stay home. If you had a fight with your wife, if your pastor, someone did not impress, stay home. Because you're coming to work and you're going to bring all that stress and bad energy and everything into the work, and then we're going to spend a week trying to undo that.
Yeah.
Take the day off. Just tell me, just send in a message saying it's that day that I'm staying home. And now we're starting to see a lot of, in fact, it was in the headline yesterday or sometime this week, that companies are now losing a lot of money in litigation because of the way that they treat employees and they dismiss, employees. And I do think, especially around motherhood, that there's a lot more provision. And for me, this is the thing that makes me sad as well, is in the capitalist world, we've stopped seeing the value of motherhood.
Yes.
As a contribution to society and in raising the next generation.
As long as it doesn't bring money,
exactly,
it's not worth it.
As long as it doesn't bring money now. But then people don't think about, this person is raising someone who will contribute to this economy in 20 years, in 30 years.
Yeah.
So we have to treat them well so that they raise their children right, so that these children become...
Can be contributors to society.
To society and
to
the economy.
Taxes. To
exactly. And
workforce.
for me, that's really, one of those things that I look at. And maybe one of the reasons why I actively chose to be a consultant, because then I manage my own time. I know I'm disciplined. I know, I'm very focused. I know that the quality of my work does not require any level of supervision. And I've had the privilege of, over the last 15 years, of being able to work in that environment where people trust me, my outcomes are good, and I've been left to do my thing. However, whenever you do it. So sometimes I work Sundays, sometimes I work Saturdays, and stuff, depending on what's going on. But that I've been able to do that. And sometimes hearing that, you told someone to give you just that period to be with the baby and put them to bed, and they ask you if you're in the right industry, and you're like, so what were you expecting? What exactly were you expecting about work?
And I think when I listen to you and the kind of employer you are, I think female bosses with kids are much better, more humane. Well, maybe not. No,
not
maybe.
always.
Okay,
not
then I guess
always.
it's a person. Then I think it's an individual.
It's a personality thing.
Personality
It's
thing.
a personality thing.
Because where I used to work, it was just full of men. My boss was a man. The directors were all men. And they've just gotten married recently in their 40s, 50s.
Oh,
So they also don't have kids.
So they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. If they have kids, their kids are older. Anyway, I mean, you can't compare a man and a woman when it comes to work, because a man can literally go hard on work and leave their family and it still survives.
Yeah,
it's still
yeah,
okay. But when you expect that from a woman,
there's
your
repercussions.
Home will crumble. The kids will crumble. There's women who have listened to saying that they regret working so hard. They're working so hard for these kids, They didn't give them time. Now the kids are grown up and they're just in rehabs.
Yeah.
Mental
You
hospitals.
made all the money, but then
they're just at home, not being productive.
You're spending all that money in mental hospitals,
Exactly.
in therapy. I remember once my colleague had a baby. It was a guy. Well, the wife had a baby. They had a baby, and he took his paternity leave, and he was our project manager during a really, really critical moment.
Yeah.
And, he was gone for 15 days. And I remember one day I had to make a call to him. I was like, please, dude, just come to the office for a day. I need you to, do this thing.
Yeah.
And he did. And then when he came back, like we were talking and he's like, oh, we decided not to have a live-in nanny. So this is our arrangement and stuff. And I'm like, oh, interesting. But why wouldn't you have a live-in nanny? No. When I had a baby, I called him.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm sorry for that one day I made you work.
Yeah.
I actually told him I was sorry because I was like, I took you away from your wife for a day when you just had a dude, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And my other colleague, their firstborn baby, they lost the baby at birth.
Oh.
And that one, I feel like I understood it more because it was death. And I was like, listen, take. And then, so after I had my baby after. So the two of them, in fact, had babies, or their wives were pregnant around the same time. And this time when I lost a baby, he is the first person I told at work because I knew that he would understand. Even if it's my company, I still hold myself accountable and I know that I'm answerable to my colleagues. So I cannot just disappear because, But kind of extending that grace sometimes I find comes with the empathy of being in a situation. So this is me saying not all women are good bosses and not all women who've had children are good bosses. I'll give you an example. I lived in a place where they said children should not play outside because they're going to destroy people's cars with balls, And I was protesting. In fact, at this time, I didn't even have a baby. I was protesting. I was like, but children should be able to play outside. What are you talking about? And someone responded and said, I have lived here for a long time and my children never had to go outside and play. And I remember I just responded and said, you can't even argue with someone who reasons this way. So not everyone who's had a child is going to understand because they're probably in a different situation. Because maybe when they had a child, they were not working or they were not supposed to be, they were not put under that level of pressure. So they're like, what do you mean you can't work? Or maybe they worked through it and they didn't have a voice to say this is unreasonable. So they're like, if I went through that, and they would even justify with 3 children, you can surely go there. It's just one child,
Yeah.
So I have, for instance, I mentioned in the last episode that I was changing the ways that I was working. There's a consultancy I was doing for a really long time, and then with the funding environment and everything, we had to. I was basically laid off, for lack of a better way of saying it, and I say for me, it's work that I really enjoyed doing. And I really excelled. All the projects I did, they were really successful. And I look at, for instance, the way that process went of that communication of, there's one thing about being asked to do more because we can potentially get more out of you doing more. And then there is the other side of being iced out. It's like, this is not going to work, so we're going to ice you out. And then, we will continue and stuff. But for me, I say that to say, work can destabilize you in different ways. In one way is it's unreasonable. I'm not going to get involved. In another way is I'm so committed to it. What do you mean it's ending? and what does this actually mean for my family? So I'm going to ask you that question of, what did you stopping work mean for your family?
A huge chunk of the income gone.
Yeah.
With no plan.
Just like that.
Just like that. Poof. So I think the income was the biggest hit, but we are making do.
Yeah.
We are making do because I think the way we had structured our life is to live below our means. So we also had planned for we had planned for being laid off, not resigning.
Yeah,
but
it's kind of the same.
It's kind of the same
like
thing.
Losing an income.
Exactly. We had planned it for a while. I also had my own savings. And also I think I should check my privilege because of the fact that I have savings. There's women who actually are in a position where they really want to live in a toxic environment, but they can't live because they don't have a way out, you know. But for me, I had family savings, my husband and I have my personal savings. If things were to go haywire, we have our family as well as backup as we figure out the next step. So yeah, the income was honestly a big hit. And it's the fact that, you know, in fact, we're always saying with my husband, like, we can't wait to get to a point where we're not like, okay, so what are we sacrificing today to get the other thing? You know, opportunity cost. Yeah. Of course, you have to let go of the luxuries, you know. But it's okay. It's a season, as I said. It's a season. And I've just come to accept that maybe I should just be here, you know.
Yeah.
I should just be looking after our kids because maybe for one way or another, they actually need me home for their future, for where they're supposed to go. And that's okay. You know, there's Erica Komisa. She made me feel so settled in my decision because as I was listening to her, she did an interview with Diary of a CEO.
Yes.
And she said, listen, guys, first of all, having a child is a choice. By the time you're having a child, you made that choice to have that child. And that child comes with responsibilities. So you better be ready to make the sacrifices to fulfill those responsibilities. Because what's the point of having kids and you're not going to take good care of them, you know? And even her, she also had to take a step back from her work. She used to do therapy. Yeah, she used to be a counselor of sorts. She also had to take a step back from her work for a period of 3-5 years thereabout until her kids were grown enough. And she said, life is long. Life is long. You can just take a few years off, then get back to your career later. But we live in a society where it has to be done now. It has to be done now.
That part.
Not when you're older, not later on in life. You know, we've really made capitalism the king of everything. So she was like, yeah, even us guys had to cut down on stuff. We wanted to buy a house. We couldn't buy a house. We wanted to go on holidays. We couldn't go on holidays. But at the end of the day, it was worth it because we raised well-adjusted human beings. And right now, her career is flourishing, you know, in her old age. So and this is something that we've actually discussed with my husband in depth. And we're like, perhaps in this season, this is where you need to be. You actually need to be at home. And funny enough, his career is now picking up. And you were saying, like, if I was in my job, this demanding job, and you are in this situation, in this demanding job, our kids would have suffered.
Yes.
Our home would literally have crumbled. Because now when I was busy, in those days that I was working those crazy hours, he would do the bath time and put the baby to sleep. So he would do the whole chain. But then now, I'm able to do it. And honestly, Lynette, I'm really happy. Like, ever since I signed and it was done, I've never been happier. And I have never been happier.
That's the one thing, or at least the one thing I'm really getting from what you're saying. is how important it also is to have the right partner
Exactly.
in all of this.
Yes.
Being in a situation where I remember a few years ago when my career in this sense was flourishing and my husband quit his job when we'd had the first baby. And he quit his job to focus on entrepreneurship. And at that moment, you're like, are you crazy? Like, this is the time we need the money. This is the time we need, all these things. And later on, when he explained like his decision, then I understood, because he was in a really toxic workplace, And it was one of those things where you're like, I understand it. I understand this. But it was also scary because like you're two entrepreneurs in the workplace, or in the household, at home.
Kids.
How are you going to actually maneuver, this and stuff when it comes to income, when it comes to all the things, all the trappings of the world that, you need.
Yeah.
And going through that was also quite scary, but then it was like, at least we have like one stable, regular income, and we're able to do this. And I was telling him the other day, when I think back to, I've referenced that I do, travel quite a bit for work and do all these things. When I'm away, like, even when I'm around, every day, he drops the kids to school in the morning. I pick them up from school. Because of now the flexibility of his work, he does homework with them every single day. Every single day, he spends 30 minutes to 1 hour teaching them mathematics and teaching them science and reading to them. And doing all those things that I know I would probably not have the patience to also do, because I'm in between. I need to get on a call. I need to get on this. I need. A funny story is I ran into an ex of mine at a conference one day, and he was like, "Oh, so how are you? I see a ring on your finger." That's
hello.
So what's the situation? And like, "Oh, see, I have 2 children." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And I asked him like, "So, what's going on with you?" And he says, "Oh, I'm just, I just finished my PhD." And he's like, "Oh, wow, well, sad that, we didn't work out." I'm like, "No, sad for you, not for me, because, one, my life, but then 2," and I said, "Now, can you imagine if this had worked out? We would both be out of the country at this conference. Who's at home with the kids?" Because career-wise, for me, it was also one of those, like, I'm so glad it did not work out, because we are both, like, out here doing all these things, and, like, we would make all the money, but our children will probably suffer because their parents are not home as often. And for me, I have come to have a completely different level of appreciation for flexibility in work to support families and households. A friend of mine and I had this conversation, and the thing, in fact, we were talking about is what careers should be encouraged for women, especially if they want to become mothers, and what careers should be encouraged for men, especially if they want to have families. My brother is a neurosurgeon. Love him. But I look at the hours he puts in, and I say, I'm sure there are women neurosurgeons. But to be as good as he is, and he's a very good doctor, the number of hours you have to put in, the sacrifices he's had made. But his wife, who's also a doctor, she's a pharmacist, works in a government facility, which then is a bit more flexible. Because if she worked at a private, facility, that would be... So even she has had to make a level of sacrifice to be able to make sure that, their kids have a parent who's home, who's, So if you call my brother over the weekend, it's very difficult to find him because he's home, he's with it. So there's a level of, when it comes to work, And also, for the first time, the National Bureau of Statistics, the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. Interestingly, we are recording this on Statistics Week. So I think tomorrow, there's a whole celebration of Statistics Day, the National Statistics Day. But anyway, the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics just a few weeks ago put out, for the first time, a quantification of women's work.
Oh.
So it is talking about, because for a long time there's been a question of what is women's work at home worth? And one, it is that they acknowledge that women actually work way more than men, because you go to your formal work and then you come home and you still have to do the emotional, physical and everything labor. While of course the argument, I think they put it at 180K or something a year, which is still very small.
The Kenya shillings or dollars?
Yes, Kenya shillings.
What?
For me, it's a start, and
Okay,
we'll correct
it's
this if the statistic is wrong. But it's that a government agency has started talking about it, because in divorce cases, when you realize, it's always like, she was a stay-at-home mom, did not contribute to the building of the house, did not contribute financially to the building, to the buying of the land, did not contribute to XYZ monetarily. But then being able to look at that and start having that conversation of, she might have been a stay-at-home mom, but I think there was a ruling last year saying she gave you peace of mind to be able to go and climb that corporate ladder.
Absolutely.
The other day, Jensen Huang, who's the CEO of NVIDIA, which I think is the most valuable company in the world.
In what? NVIDIA.
NVIDIA. They manufacture chips for AI technologies.
Oh,
and all
okay.
that.
Uh-huh.
And he was asked, so he's one of like the top 5 richest people in the world. He was asked why he wears a leather coat. Because he only wears a leather coat. And he said it's because this is what my wife picked out for me, because I hate shopping and she does all the shopping.
Yeah.
So she says, if you don't like it, then go shop for yourself.
Yeah.
So I have to wear this because this is what my wife bought for me. And the quantification of that decision that his wife makes for him, so he doesn't have to make that decision, so he can go and develop chips for gaming and for AI and become the most valuable company in the world, is very important. And for me, we have to look at all those elements of the value of women's work beyond contribution to the tax
Monetary,
man and stuff, to contribution to the future of work.
Agreed.
By raising little people.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So clearly things need to change in the workplace to support women.
Yeah, they do.
To have families, because all job is important.
Yes.
The job that women do at home is so important.
Yes.
They're so vital in the success of these kids, So, I look at groups, women talking about their work situation and their kids, and you can see women really struggle, but they just have no option. They need that money, You're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have to leave my kid with a nanny. Sometimes when the nanny has left the previous day, you're getting a new nanny today, you still have to go report to work.
You're literally leaving them with a stranger.
With a stranger.
Yeah.
So it's...
At this point, when it's a new nanny,
it's really tough. Yeah, it's really tough for women. Even my situation, I was flexible in working from home ever since COVID came. And COVID time, full work from home. And then now world comes to normal. We actually adopted a hybrid system where we were working from home a few days and working in the office a few days. But even then, people don't realize that you're also working. You're still working at home. I'll still have to close the door to the office, and so that my daughter doesn't come in and make noise because I'm in a meeting. I'm still working. If I'm going to work until 4 a.m., I'm still working.
Yeah.
So it's gone beyond just being flexible. It's also putting in policies like hard stops, like respecting time,
I think for me, especially in the hybrid mode of working, which I'm really grateful for. I mean, COVID really, wrecked a lot of things, and lots of people lost their lives and all that. And because, lives were lost, and there was a lot of, destruction really that happened. Working from home really saved a lot of families as well. And I remember during like 2020, 21, 22, even men would show up to calls like, with their children, and they'd say, I am with my baby. And I love that because it also normalized the fact that people are parents.
Yeah.
They have other responsibilities as well. While work is very important, people are parents as well. And it also gave me the courage to show up with my baby.
Yeah.
So if a baby was crying, I'd be like, I'm going off camera, I'm on mute because my baby is crying. Just write in the comment, fuzzy baby with me. I'll be back in a moment. And I then made it my mission to make people comfortable around me when they have their children, and for people to be comfortable with me having my children with me. And I, so for instance, like my calendar, everyone knows you cannot find, if you need me to lead a conversation, it cannot be between 2:30 and 4 p.m. every day because I'm doing school pickup. So, if I'm doing school pickup, I can be in the background, I can listen, so I let people know. And if I'm, if someone say, this is the only time maybe this person is available, and I say, okay, I'll do this, but I'll also be on school pickup.
Yeah.
So because I'm doing this, just know you're going to experience, I need to solve something in the back, I'm driving, I'm in traffic, but I can take the call because it's on speaker, so you know. And again, this is me also checking my privilege that I'm able to do things like those that a lot of moms also don't have the privilege of being able to do. And I really wish that the world could be more accommodating to children, to mothers. Unfortunately, I find that then that is used to discriminate against mothers because it's like, oh, look, they cannot even survive, in the work environment. Yeah. And sometimes I say, unfortunately, maybe the thing that someone might come for me for is there is a level of feminism that is toxic in the sense that it's the women can do it all even if their mothers don't create any special spaces because we are women and we can do it all. And this has brought people to be like, are you sure you're in the right industry?
Yeah.
But we were told women can do it all. What do you mean you need special provisions and accommodations? And I really wish we could go back to, as they say in the West, being barefoot in the kitchen raising children.
Honestly.
Because the work environment of do, keep going is really messing it up for the children and for the mothers. Because that mental strain of being out of work, being at work and not having your child there, or your child being 2-3 weeks old, is a lot.
Agreed. I've lost my train of thought.
That's fine. It's a lot that we're talking about, and I really hope that more people can listen to this and advocate for themselves and advocate for others as well and be more
But it's tough because, in Kenya, we don't have a shortage of labor. So if you're going to... Fortunately and unfortunately, because that doesn't give you any leverage.
I see what you mean.
If you can't, just leave. I'll get someone else to do it.
Oh, yeah.
And when I started speaking to different moms and sharing my story and my experience, I came to realize a lot of women go through a lot of discrimination once they have kids. And that's how, it becomes a performance improvement plan situation. And, you've not improved.
Yes.
Go.
Yes.
Go home.
Yes.
And
Those
it's
PIPs are the devil.
So unfortunate. It's so unfortunate. Like, I had those stories. I was like, oh my God, Kumbe, I'm not the only one going through this, you know. But it's sad that you still have to provide for your children. And sometimes just
In a very
don't
expensive
have-
environment.
Yeah, you don't have the luxury of just quitting and, you know, and doing your thing. For me to say that I'm a stay-at-home mom, it's been difficult to accept it. Like, albeit, like, I really love being a mother, and this is actually what I want to do. I want to take care of my kids. It's, oh my gosh, will I now be termed as a failure? It's, I went to school. I've done my undergraduate. I've done my master's abroad, in fact. I have done several professional papers, and I just decided to be a stay-at-home mom. So it's been an internal conflict that I'm trying to resolve within me, just to be in that space of acceptance. You know, like, this is also important work. If, yes, I've done a master's, then who else better to teach my kids
children.
than myself?
There you go.
I can't leave my kid with a nanny. Actually, my current nanny, she's amazing. I love her. But she's only gotten to class 8. In fact, sometimes I teach her things. And I'm like, you know what? Actually, I will not let go of you because I love you. Excellent.
I've over-invested.
Yeah. No, even she's like excellent with the
Yeah,
kids. Like,
yeah.
her interaction with the kids is awesome. But I can't leave the fate of my children to you.
Yeah,
You know, the
in terms of the
education
education,
element of
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So, yeah, even my husband and I, we agreed. And even now, when I took my son for swimming, one of the kids came with the nanny. And I sat there in shock. I was like, people do this? People do this? And I'm not judging because maybe she was even sick at home.
Yeah.
And maybe it was just a one-time thing. But I sat there and I had to just come to reconciliation that that's not the kind of mom that I want to be. I'm not okay missing swimming galas when I start going to school. I'm not okay missing prize giving days, concerts, like even that swimming thing. I want to see how he progresses. So each and every single class he goes to, I want to be present because I want to see, I want to document. And I was sharing this with my husband because that was just in my head. And I was sharing this with my husband. He's like, you know what? Me too. That's also not how I want our kids to grow up. I was like, oh, we're on the same page. Okay, then you can work. Then let me do this other work kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like to a point, I have not even, I've not told my folks the decision. So my dad was like, need to me a CV. Send me your CV. I started looking for jobs for you. And I was like, okay, Dad, I'll send to you.
Let me update it first.
I will send. Yeah, let me update it first. Updating has taken 6 months. Because I feel like if I tell him, like, this is the decision that I have made, I'll be termed as a failure. It will be viewed as I have failed. What was the point of me taking you to masters abroad if this is all you're gonna do? But at the end of the day, I even had to start with myself, and I'm like, Connie, what am I doing work for? Like, fine, there's the element of satisfaction, but
if it's
there's the
taking
element,
things away
if
from
it's
you.
taking things away from me, what's the point? Yes, the money is important, but until when?
I
Right?
totally agree with you. And you might even share this with your dad, and he'd be like, I understand. For the benefit of my grandchildren,
Yeah.
so that they're good human beings in the
Yeah.
environment that we live in, I understand. And as you said, there are women who don't have too many options, unfortunately, especially like single mothers.
Yes.
It could even be in a 2-parent household, but then the husband doesn't have a job, and so they're
And
different.
another dynamic on that is, what if you and your husband don't work out?
There's that.
There's that
thing,
Yeah.
and there's really, you can hold off and but it's life. There's also no knowing. There's also no knowing, like, where life will end up. And for me, it's just important to have that conversation with yourself. I know myself. I cannot stop all work. I'm a last born in a very big family, so survival for the fittest has always been, maybe something I need to unlearn.
Yeah.
Like, I know myself. As soon as I had babies, I'm always piling one new thing, like one more entrepreneurial venture, one more this. I have a former colleague who said, Lynette, if you stopped working, you will literally die. Because you are just, and I know myself. But I also know that there are decisions that need to be made. And that is why I have made my life the way it is. That I have said, I will miss out on our pension. I will miss out on the stability of knowing someone cannot just let me go, but for the freedom of I control my hours and I control my time and how I do it. So maybe, your dad will understand. And I know, interestingly, a lot of like professional, educated abroad, women and stuff who say, I want to be a stay-at-home mother, I want to raise my children. And one of my good friends who has older children said, the daughter one day came to her and said, Mom, thank you for sacrificing. Like, we know, you studied and you have this career, but you gave it up for us.
Yeah.
And I know those children. They are amazing kids. They're very respectful children. They, they're doing, well and performing very well. That's not to say that if you're working that your children will not do well. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But before I had kids, I would hear that, oh, so-and-so had a baby and they quit work. I'm like, what?
What?
What are you talking about? Are you serious?
Yeah.
What do you mean you had a baby? Now I'm like, I understand them. When I lost the baby, one of the things I thought about when it came to work is I told my husband, I'm going to quit everything.
Yeah.
I'm closing down the businesses. I'm going to stay home. So you mean you can lose a baby? I'm going to stay home and raise these ones and be here every day.
Yeah.
But then, of course, that was an intense reaction. But I understand. Not now, but like after a baby, you're like, there is... And I want to assure you that there is more, especially if you have support. Seek a flexible environment for work, as much as possible. And also seek work that you enjoy doing.
Exactly.
Because if you don't enjoy doing something, and again, that's a bit of privilege there, but try to find work that you enjoy doing. Because if you don't enjoy doing work...
Agreed. Like, if I'm to ever go back to work because of one reason or another, if it's this work is gonna take my time away from my kids, deuces, I'm out. If it's going to take away from my mental health, it's out. So. Yeah, I think probably speaking from privilege, but it's a privilege that I am more than glad that I have, You see, even as a working mom, they're supposed, government, like according to legislation, the workplace should provide a space for you to pump. There's a time I saw a lady pumping in a storage room. She actually sent a picture and she was like describing, she was asking for advice. And she was saying how she's pumping in a storage room that has files. I'm like, what? And the company is supposed to provide an area exclusive for pumping that has a tap, it has a fridge. People don't do that. My workplace had that because we were in a shared space. Okay, they still are in a shared space, and then the shared space provides the room. But even that room is so dark and so tiny, man. Like it's only enough to fit a chair and yourself. That's it. There's no views, there's no window, there's no fan. It's just it gets so stuffy when you've done a 30-minute pump.
And pumping is a lot.
It's a lot,
the body.
yeah. So things need to change, Lynette. Things actually need to change to make it possible for women to be able to earn for their families. And you were talking about feminism and toxic feminism. And there's an article I read that said true feminism is recognizing that there's a freedom of choice. And in this
Respecting
particular
other people's choice.
and in this particular time, I have decided that I'm not going to work. And I'm not any less feminist. I'm not any less of a feminist because of that.
Totally okay.
Because is that feminism that is like, why the heck?
Yeah,
why did you
you're
quit?
letting the
movement
femalehood
down. Yeah.
You know, you're not pulling your weight.
Yeah. Exactly.
You need to be showing that you can handle a baby bottle on one end and a file on the other.
Yeah, and wear heels while at it. And before I even had kids with you, I used to tell myself like, women can do it all. What do you mean? I'm going to be that person who breaks the norm that you have to choose.
My resolution this year and hopefully for the rest of my life is I am not God's strongest soldier.
Oh, for real, honestly.
Cannot and will not be. I was refused.
Shocked. I was like, you know what? Perhaps, maybe you cannot do it all. One thing you'll have to give. Because even those women who work also rely a lot on nannies.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way to work. You're not completely there.
Depending on where you are.
Something has to give.
Yeah.
So I pray that one day things change. I have fears with this new stage of life. What if my husband decides to leave me? And I'm like, yeah, well, that's not the case now. But if it ever comes to that, we shall not sleep hungry.
And that's important. And maybe in closing, before we go to, our unpopular opinions, that is the key. It's also not necessarily doing it strategically. No one gets into a marriage, hoping that it's going to end.
Yeah.
Or, just make sure you have some kind of a buffer. Make sure you have agreements with your husband around that, because it's a valid fear. Anything. He could die.
Exactly.
There's that. He could love you to death and still die. And you're left holding everything that needs to happen. It is at the very minimum, just know what your options are. You don't have to go to work. Just know what your options are. And you could also live happily ever after. You might not drive a Ferrari, but you will be happy and healthy, and
in fact,
your children will thrive.
Because I'm a Christian, and I tell God, but God, if this is a life that you want me to do, you better, if anything was to go left with this man, you better have a plan.
Yes.
Of how myself and my kids
are going to
survive.
Yeah. Great. So as we come to the end of this very long but felt like it was too short of a podcast, we might need part 2 at a point.
Yeah.
What's your unpopular opinion this week?
Modern motherhood is offending. I think the way our living situation has changed. You don't stay with your family. You don't stay with your friends. You're just in your cocoon.
That's the biggest scam of all. Sorry to cut you short, but I have to tell you this. It was Trevor Noah that talked about this and said how we lived in villages and you lived with your extended family, with people around you and your community. And modern living convinced you that living with your parents is the worst thing that could ever happen to you. Living with your sisters and your cousins.
Independence.
And then now you have to pay to go see your parents. You have to pay to be with your sisters. You have to pay for your parents to be in a care home, at least abroad. And everything has been so commercialized, and now you have to pay to bring a community back into your household to do that. So yes, modern living.
And the other element of it is you may have friends, and this is a topic that we'll tackle later on, but you may have friends, but everyone is being told, give them space. I'm like, I don't need space. I need you to come home.
I'm going to be in your business. I'm going to be in your business for sugar.
I need you to come home. Let's speak. Because sometimes you can be with a child. Okay, there are days I've questioned, can I actually speak like a normal human being? I've spoken with
Mic
kids.
check, mic check.
Yeah.
No, we can't hear you.
I'm speaking with my kids. I'm repeating things, instructions. I'm like, can I actually talk to adults? Like, really? Can
Will I be this overbearing
Yeah.
when I'm with adults?
Yeah. And what's yours?
My unpopular opinion is I think children are having access way too early to smartphones.
Agreed. Absolutely.
A few countries have now banned children access to smartphones and social
Oh,
media
really?
and stuff. Yeah. And I know in some environments, kids should have smartphones, but I do think kids, I would even dare say to the age of 18, should not have access to phones.
Yeah.
I mean, we grew up without them and we're
Yeah.
fine. At least I think I'm fine.
When did I get my first phone? I got my first phone when I was in Form 3.
So
And-
in my books, you were still not old enough.
Yeah, I was still not old enough. But even that one, I pestered my parents. I'm like, you have to give me a phone. I need a phone. Everyone in my class has a phone. Why am I the only one without a phone? But even then, social media was not that.
There was we were, or at least you weren't living in the world we are living in now, which is quite dangerous with the level of information and stuff that that kids have access to. But that's my unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna stick with it.
Sure, makes sense.
Perfect. Well, thanks Oshuka for another great episode.
You're most welcome.
See you next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Guys.
It's the politics of motherhood.